Welcome to Pollspeak.com's third video, Pollstalker Advanced Techniques. If you haven't seen our previous video, Pollstalker Basics, make sure you check that out first. Okay, we're at Pollstalker, and we're going to run a full report on the AP ballots for College Football 2011. So we're going to click on the Run Report button. Up comes our full report for the AP ballots in College Football 2011. You can see that we're still in the preseason. And what we're going to do first is take a look at the extreme voters. Now, as we talked about before, extreme voters are voters who have ranked teams either highest or lowest in the nation. So what I want to point out, though, is that an extreme voter isn't necessarily a bad voter. I'm going to look at our top one here, who's John Wilner. He made the most extreme and near extreme votes. And you can see there's lots of red and yellow in his ballot. However, you can also see that he's not our lead good voter or our lead bad voter. So again, doesn't necessarily mean he's bad. It just means that he's thinking differently. And as long as he's thinking through his ballots, there's no concerns there. However, we will also take a look at extreme voters because mistakes will often show up in that section. So for example, we've seen times where old ballots or wrong ballots were turned in by voters or posted by the AP, and they've shown up as extreme voters as well. Heck, I mean, a monkey throwing darts would probably show up as an extreme voter, but that doesn't mean that the people you see listed here are monkeys throwing darts. They should hopefully have good reasons for what they're doing, and we have this section so that we can check and make sure that there aren't mistakes or monkeys in the AP poll. Okay, the next section that we have is the all ranked teams. And you can see that they're all currently listed alphabetically. However, one of the things we like to do is actually list them by the number of votes. So we click on the header, number of votes, and then they go ahead and get resorted by how many votes they received. And what that allows you to do is see at the bottom how many of the 60 AP voters have ranked a team. In this case, the bottom, all 60 have ranked these teams. And then what you can also check out real quick is you can see there's a couple of teams here, Michigan State and TCU, that were only voted for by 58 voters. So you can see that those people are in the extreme minority, and you can actually come here and highlight unranked, and it'll show you who those voters are. It also lets you, at the top here, see who's only gotten one vote. So you can see what voters are going out on a limb and giving a team their only vote. Let's go ahead and take a look at the people who didn't rank TCU this week. And we'll take a look at one of them, Doug Lesmerises here. And you can see his ballot. And at the bottom, you can see he has extreme unranked teams. And that means that he is one of the few people to leave these teams off of his ballot. And as you can see, TCU is listed there, and he also has Arkansas listed there. And like on any place in Pollstalker, you can click on a team name, and it will take you and show you how everybody, in this case in the AP poll, voted for that team. Everyone from number 6 all the way down to the 3 people who left Arkansas unranked. And as usual, we have our summary at the bottom with best ranking, worst ranking, most common ranking, and average. Now, while we have the Arkansas team report running here, let's take an opportunity to show you a more advanced technique with team reports. So by default here we have Team 1, Arkansas, but Team 2 is optional. Let's go ahead and pick a different team. Let's go ahead and pick South Carolina. No particular reason except that Arkansas and South Carolina do play each other this year, and actually they played each other last year as well. In fact, Arkansas beat South Carolina. And here you can see how everybody voted both Arkansas and South Carolina, including those people who didn't rank Arkansas, and then how everybody did rank Arkansas, as well as how on their ballot they put South Carolina and what the difference was between those two numbers. In fact, one of the things that we like to do is sort by the differential. Now, this isn't particularly useful in the preseason, but it can be useful later on in the season when you want to compare two teams who played each other. This allows you to see if the voter is ranking the team that won higher or lower than the team that lost. So by sorting by differential, you can see who's got the biggest difference between these two teams. For example, here is at the top the list of people who ranked Arkansas higher than South Carolina, and as you scroll down to the bottom, you can see a list of people who ranked Arkansas lower than South Carolina, and by how much. So again, not particularly useful in the preseason, although as we did say, Arkansas beat South Carolina last year, and here you can see that some people think a lot more of South Carolina this year than they did last year. So not something to worry about in the preseason, but if this were to happen during this season, it might be something that raises a red flag. Okay, a couple more things that I want to show here. I'm going to go ahead and run a full report on college football 2010 instead of college football 2011. The reason I want to do that is because you can see here that there's a couple of more polls that didn't exist in 2011, at least not yet. Not only do we have the AP ballots and the BCS plus AP rankings, we also have the ballots for the USA Today Coaches Poll and the ballots for the Harris Interactive Poll. As we've mentioned in the past, unlike the AP, who releases all of their ballots every single week, the coaches in the Harris Interactive Poll only release their ballots once a year, and it's at the very end of the season. So those have not shown up yet in 2011, but I did want to point out that you can look back in time and look at all the different coaches' ballots that have been released, as well as the Harris Interactive Poll. And of course, once they're released in 2011, we'll have them in Pollstalker as well. Actually, one more thing we should mention that, if it wasn't obvious already, is that not only can you change years, but you can also change sports. So Pollstalker not only works for college football, it also works for college baseball, men's basketball, women's basketball, and it also lets you go back and into any year and look at any of those sports all the way back to 2007 when we first started tracking the polls. So this can be useful if you're wanting to see if there's any type of long-term bias for a voter. For example, does someone always pick a specific team and make them lowest? Or do they always show bias against a particular conference? Using Pollstalker and going back in time, you can see if there's any long-term trends that you can find for voters. Okay, I think we've covered some advanced techniques here, and we will continue to produce videos and show additional advanced techniques in the future. Thank you very much for watching.